Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to another exciting Vobes show with me, your host, Richard Vobes. It's the 13th of January 2020, and from the back end of a house in jolly old Worthing, at the foot of the English Channel and at the edge of the South Downs, I welcome you to the Vobes show. And just for your delectation, ladies and gentlemen, here is a pin-up of the Vobes as a younger man. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. If it will focus, it will get better. If it doesn't focus, it only gets worse. And it was not going to focus. Look at that. It's not going to focus. What a shame. There we are. Spent 8. There we are. Look. There he is. The Vobes looking buff. But enough of that gay bollocks. Let's carry on with the show. Hello and welcome to Mandy of Merrimack. Hello, Merrimack Mandy. We got the lovely Julia. Hello to lovely Julia. Francisco. Boing. Good to see you. Linda Kane. Linda Kane. We only mean to blow the bloody doors off. Glenn Johnson. Hello, computer people. Hello, computer. Glenn, lovely to see you. Stephen Blakey. Ed Loud. Greetings all. Lovely to see you too. Fiona Cooper. Andy Frierson. Mickey Baines. Anne Osborne. Tim Williams. Merriott Genealogy. Mark Donny McLeod. Is it live? It is. Oh, good evening to you, Richard. Good evening to you. It's nice to be live. Mike Dixon. Good evening, lovely Richard. First time tuning into the show live. It's very lovely to see you. Thank you for coming along live. Mike Dixon and I are going to go on the lichin hunt very soon. We're going to get his 250 times LED special Magnus Picoscope, and we're going to look down at the living world that you don't see with the naked eye, which is going to be absolutely amazing and fantastic. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And Andrew Norris, evening all. Hello to you. Lovely to see you. Are you a gay icon, Richard? Why would you say it was a gay icon here in the gay icon room? Yes, there we are. Look at that. This was from a show I did up in London at the NEC, the National Exhibition Centre, many moons ago. I don't know who the woman is in the first end, but the other woman, the girl there, used to babysit my children. She was the au pair, you might say. And no, nothing happened, thank you very much. I was happily married at the time. Now I'm happily single, but that's another thing. So there we are. I'd like to start the show with a number of things. First of all, I'm having another cup of tea. This is from the Kent and Sussex, whatever they call themselves, Tea and Coffee Company. And they have... Oh, that's my phone. Hang on a minute. What's that? Message coming through. Let's just see if that's anything important. Oh, I am live on the show. Yes, I know that. That is the trouble. I am live. This is Fruits of the Forest from the Kent and Sussex. It's a fruit infusion. This one actually is one of the ones I bought. And it's a bit paler than the normal. Just pour that out there because to get the show... Oh dear. To get the show going. Luckily I have a cloth standing by because I'm going to need that. But I'm gasping, ladies and gentlemen, for a nice mug of tea. So that's what's going to fuel the show there. You could say it was pink gin. It does look a bit pink, but it isn't, I'm afraid to say. It is... There, look at that. It looks nice, doesn't it? You see that crack? You see the crack there on the... Why is that not going where I want it? That crack there, I've got to get a new cup and teapot because that's in a bit of a sad way. It doesn't leak yet, but any minute, you know? Any minute. Cheers, everybody. That is delicious. Coming up on the show, we've got the lovely Julia and the baby Joseph. But you have to wait for that a little bit longer. So that's quite nice. Paul Smith has arrived. Hello, Paul. Lovely to see you. Very good for you. Francesco Boing says, what is young Vobes? Nah. Don't understand that language. Leather trousers, says Linda Kane. Is that making a noise? You know when you put something down that's got some hot water in and it starts fizzing? I think that's what's going on over there. Donny McLeod says, did you put a bag in or leaves at all looks weak? It doesn't. It's supposed to be weak. This is Fruits of the Forest. This is it's loose. It's loose. Don't you worry. It'd be fine. Andy Stacey says, evening to you. When are you going to put a phone number up so we can call you? Yes, I need to get I need to organise that. I need to get a phone and what do you call it? A pin-up number. It's not a pin-up number. I don't know. What do you call it? A number that people can dial in. A separate phone. I don't want to give my personal phone number because, do you know, I get people ringing me up sometimes. They go, oh, hello, Richard. How are you? And I go, who's that? Oh, it's me. And I said, oh, hello to you. And they can ring, at strange times. So it is an exclusive number, don't you know? International fame and stardom on the internet makes me very obscure in my little corner of the world. But either way, you're quite right, and I must organise it. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say that some sad news, ladies and gentlemen, some very sad news actually hit me. I didn't know about this till this morning, but apparently it happened last night. The very lovely, now you may or may not be a fan, but the very lovely Sir Roger Scruton died yesterday evening. He was only 75 young, and I was very upset to hear that because I've been watching some of his videos on YouTube, and it was a bit of a sad thing. And I heard an interview on the BBC Radio for today's programme, their flagship programme, where actually they show a lot of flags. You can't see them, but they do have them. They're waving them left, right and centre. And they played a bit from Roger Scruton. It was lovely to hear his voice. He lived in Malmesbury, I think it is, down there in the Cotswolds. And one of my lovely listeners, if you've ever seen the American in England video that I did, one of my very lovely listeners, he went on a course that Sir Roger Scruton did, and it was fantastic. He said it was most enjoyable. I would love to have met him. He wrote a book called England and Elgery. I can't. Where's the thing? There it is. An Elgery. How do you pronounce that? Alegi. Anyway, and I heard, and on the news they said, if you really want to understand him, if you really want to understand Roger Scruton, then you should read this book. So happens I already had the book, and I've got almost halfway through. Look, I've got 100 pages through. And it's a beautifully written book, but for some reason I didn't finish it. I thought I'd just wait till he died, and then it would have more meaning to me. But yeah, lovely bloke. It's a shame. Dean Cooper is out there, who is very much alive. Dean Cooper. And Barbara Charles says, "Yippee! I'm here. We can let the party begin." Yippee! I'm very pleased. Well, cheers, everybody. Nice to see you. I thought today I'll just sort out a few old photographs. Some old photographs which I could show you, ladies and gentlemen. Show you of some of the things that I used to get up to in my old day. You want to see a nice picture of me looking very young and buff? Very young and buff, Vobes? Yes, certainly, of course you do. So here it is. Here's a very young and very buff-looking Vobes. That's before I used to buy the Bic razors, of course. That was, don't know what that's actually doing in there. That's a picture of my mother. But apart from that, here is now the lovely Julia might. There's no pictures, there's no background to prove this, but the lovely Julia knows about Bewley, because I think she got married down at Bewley Abbey. And I did a gig near Bewley Abbey a long time ago, probably day after she got married, actually. And here is a picture of me. I know that doesn't look like me, but that is actually me blowing fire, ladies and gentlemen, blowing fire. Look at that. And in the background, you can see Bewley Abbey. That was an early evening. I look a right mess, don't I? I do look a mess. Do you want to see another one? Here's another one, ladies and gentlemen. You might see a bit more, not so much of the Abbey. See if you can tell that's me. That is actually me. You can tell that by the knobbly knees. Look at that. Bit of fire breathing there, ladies and gentlemen. People often say to me, "I'd like to see pictures of you doing the fire. Do the fire. Show us the fire." Here is another one. This is me in a different pair of trousers. These are actually me. And this, if you recognise the shopping centre there, I'll tell you where that is. That happens to be at, not Basildon, but the one just before Basildon. on the M12. What's the place before Basildon on the M12? Funny little place. Can't remember it now. And then this is, I'll just show you this one. This is me eating, actually putting the fire into my mouth. Not a brilliant picture. Nice belt, though, if you notice. Nice belt. So that's the sort of thing that oh, hello. I disappeared then. That's the sort of thing I get up to. Barbara Edger says, I'm just cooking my dinner. Almost done. Going to settle in front of the PC and watch the Vobes. What have you got, Ed? What have you got for your dinner? Love to know what you've got for your dinner. Andrew Norris says, please don't show us all that you got up to. Please don't show us. No, well, I'm not going to show all. Obviously, there are certain things I got up to that nobody wants to know about. Julia Hartley says, I got married in the dormus at Bewley, part of the Abbey buildings. There we are. I think that was just outside the dormus. Or if it wasn't a dormus, it may have been a ratmus. And if not, it may have been a harvest mouse. It was something like that. A field mouse, I think it was. I think it was beside the field mouse, yes. Dean Cooper says, yes, I am alive. Fire Brigade came to me today. Thought I was Richard Vobes. What? No. He says that Fire Brigade came to me today under blue lights. Well, they do have blue lights up there. I mean, it'd be silly if they had pink lights or green lights, wouldn't it? It's funny when they say that. They came with their blue lights. Yes, but we know that the emergency services have blue lights. You don't need to tell us. But there was no need. Wasted resources. What were you doing? Wasting their resources, Dean Cooper. That's what I'd like to know. Thank you very much. If you could write it down, send it in. Attach a £20 note to your note, and I guarantees I would read it. Andy Freeson, Brentwood. Exactly. That was the place. Those are the photographs, the evidential photographs, my lord, from Brentford, where I think they did. That's not. No, wait a minute. Brentford. What's the other one in London? Used to do the nylons, Brentford nylons. Do you remember that? Or Brent something nylons like that. Brentford. That's right. Brentford did the Brentford nylons. Brentwood is the one on the A12. I got it. Don't panic. Domus, she's saying to me. I'm a domus, not a filmus. Mark Donny McLeod says, I'm currently enjoying a duff nut. Oh, right. With custard, some posh Italian coffee. Bewley Abbey, I used to live and work nearby in Lymington, where all the limbs go to. You know when you've gone to the doctor's surgery and he says, oh, you'll have to have that removed, and they hack off a limb? That's where they take them to. They take them to Lymington, full of yuppie yachts and young farmers. What, in Lymington? Is it by the river? Hang on a minute. What are you doing with farmers on the river? They shouldn't be on the river. They should be in their fields. They should be ploughing the field. They've got too many of these large tractors to go around on, which is much. Ed Loud says, a very responsible sourced steak. Oh, responsibly sourced. What does that mean, responsibly sourced? I mean, I've heard of peppercorn sourced, but what the hell is a responsibly sourced steak? I'd like to know that. Mashed tatties and strong beans. Strong ones. What a strong... You've got responsibly sourced. So what does that mean, that somebody went round and when they were looking for the beef, they visited the farm, and they did it responsibly. They drove on the left-hand side. They made sure they were wearing their seatbelt. They weren't going over the speed limit. They drove very carefully through the farmer's gate and put their feet into the dip wash, whatever it is called, the foot and shoulders wash. Made sure they had rubber gloves on, and then went, that one, please. Certainly, you may have that one. Which bit? Have a bit of the rump, please. Okie doke, one moment. Megan, we're just going to take a slice of rump, dear. There we go. Wrap it up for you. Now take it straight home, put it in the fridge. Don't let any air and molecules, bacteria or anything else get at it. Yes, certainly, sir. That would be very responsibly done, I would say, personally. Dean Cooper says, my neighbour called them... Oh, this is back to the fire brigade thing. My neighbour called them because I was burning my hedge cuttings in an old oil drum. Unfortunately, I left all the oil in it. Caught the house on fire. Place went up. It was a nightmare. And yet, oh, hang on. Yes, the drum had no oil in it. Oh, right, okay. Why couldn't you just burn them on the grass? On the, like anybody else? Why bung them in an old oil drum? Ed Loud says string beans. Oh, I see, string beans, not strong beans. I was imagining that you had to take your beans down to the gym and make them work very hard. You should have given them to old Francesco bong to do them a little bit of bong ringing, because apparently bong ringing is very good for the health, so I'm told. Mark Donny McLeod says that Lymington, the place where all these limbs are, you are in Lymington if you go through the graveyard and you see all these people who have been buried up to the waist. Not a pretty sight, umpteen pairs of legs sticking out of the ground, but that's Lymington for you. So thank you very much. Yes, it's in the New Forest, he says, so that's very good. Dave Ford is out there. Hello, Dave. Lovely to see you. He says a chap did a video walk at Bewley on YouTube recently. He's just saying, oh, well, you must go and check that out. Check it out. As a chap, it must be your competition then, Dave, if you're telling us about it. That would be very good. Ed Loud is also saying, no, Richard. No, you flaming idiot, Richard, he says. That's not how you spell flaming, mate. There's a G in flaming. He says, no, responsibly sourced means I don't want to be murdered by an angry vegetarian. Yes, that's right. It was, just put it this way, it was grown in a Petri dish by a vegan. And you'll be perfectly safe then. Nobody will come bashing through your door with a cudgel and bash your brains out, putting them into the frying pan and calling it faggots. So that's all right. Mark Donny McLeod says commoners. There's a lot of commoners around here, I can tell you, where I live. Load of commoners. They used to use the New Forest areas to feed their animals. They used to feed their animals to the hungry peasants. Oh, well, that's nice, isn't it? So if you wanted free food, I suppose that's a bit like the soup kitchens of today, is it? You know, they just take them down to the New Forest and you could feed off the animals. Very good idea. Bring some of those horses over here, set fire to a couple of them, warm yourself up, and then gobble off some of the meat that's tenderizing at the back. So that would be good. Linda Kane is says, Ed Loud is saying, I'm glad you knew what I mean, to Linda Kane, who says, gosh, strong beans, you sure they're not just a bit stringy? That's good. Glenn Johnson says, eating vegetables is cruel it is. He says, they can't escape when they're being hunted. You ever seen anybody hunt a carrot? That would be a good film, wouldn't it? You see the little carrots shaking away. Ooh, I hope he doesn't see me. Yes, I need to camouflage yourself a bit more, Mr. Carrot. Ooh, I've gone orange. Maybe he thinks I'm a fruit. Maybe it's the shape of the, you look rather phallic with a lot of pubes hanging out, like green pubes. I wonder if they're edible, the green pubes. I'm not going to go there and even look. Mike Dixon says, at my 50th birthday party, notice he didn't invite me, typical that is, he said, we hired a group of fire jugglers to perform for 20 minutes. It was a flaming brilliant party. One of them dropped a fire club, burnt down the gazebo, and then the fire brigade came with their blue lights going, not their green ones, because they don't have green ones, and they managed to put it all out with the champagne. Lovely. Donny McLeod, old Mark Donny McLeod says, yes, use the farce, Richard, not the sauce. Now then, time for another photo, I'm afraid. Now look, I've just brought a few in. Just a few in here, in case you want to see some of them. There's a few down there, look. I thought, best way to bore the audience is to get the old family photos out. So it's going to show you something else. Now, I was talking to the lovely Julia the other day. I do that from time to time. Oh, by the way, got a little bit of video of the lovely Julia coming in. We'll be seeing that in a moment. And I took her through the park. in Worthing. And I said to her, I've got a photo here of some trees in the park that I took for a little publicity thing. I'm just trying to find it now. For a script I was working on. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to find the actual picture. I should have prepared myself a bit better. And I was, and these trees were pretty big now. And I thought, my God, it was surely only the other day. Only the other day. Oh, hang on. There's a picture there that's worth seeing. Oh, yes. So here's a picture. I don't know who these kids are anymore, but just have a look at this for the moment. You see those trees in the foreground? See, they're school children, right? They're school children. There are some little trees. Those little trees are now about 30 foot high. 30 foot high. Do you remember that, Julia, when we walked through and I said, oh, I took some pictures for a thing? And we looked at a tree that they chopped down in the park. They chopped it down, and now it's just the trunk, and it was hollow. Well, there is the tree, lovely Julia. That is the tree that they have hacked down. And this is about, I'm just trying to think, Georgie must have been about 10. She's now 26, so 16 years ago. 16 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Donnelly says, use the fast. Lovely Julia says, the comparison between veg and meat really irks me. I'm not a vegetarian, but it is daft comparison and makes no point. Exactly. I do agree. So here is my lovely daughter, Georgie. You may remember she came on the show not so long ago. That is the lovely Georgie. Look at that. 16 years ago. Amazing, isn't it? She's a very beautiful young lady. Now, the point of these particular pictures, by the way, look, there's some kids. I think we've got a picture of Billy. I think there is a picture. Is that Stanley? Oh, yeah, no, it's not Billy. It's, see if you can spot Stanley, if you know my children, in this one. You also might see a picture of Georgie. Okay, Stanley happens to be here. That's my son Stan. I mean, no people won't know any of this. It won't mean anything. And then that's the lovely Georgie. I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so now hang on. Don't do that. The relevance of this, ladies and gentlemen, is I just wanted to tell you about some of the things I used to get up to when I was a kid. I was pitching some programs after I had the Snug and Cozy. Do you remember I did Snug and Cozy? There we are. There's a picture of Snug and Cozy. Back in the 96 and 97 they were on. That's from the Series 1 in 96. And on ITV, ladies and gentlemen, something I wrote and I made the pilot for, and we sold to ITV, and we had 2 successful series, and then we were axed through no fault of our own. We turned them down. We said we're not doing it. And I was coming up with lots of program ideas for children's television, and I came up with this idea called, it was about a gang of kids, and I thought it'd be a great children's TV series. It was called Bikes. Bikez, Bikes. And they were a gang of kids. We took loads of pictures to sort of illustrate the idea. A gang of kids who used their bikes in the old way that people used to use horses. You know, in the old cowboys and westerns, they'd always chucking about, chickadum, 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 and go off in groups on horses. I thought kids can't have horses, but they can have bikes, you know. And it would be a gang of kids on bikes, and it was a great idea. You couldn't do it now because kids are not allowed to go out on their own. They can't go on the road. They all have to have with these stupid helmets, and they all have to look, you know, a bit nerdy. There was no sort of edge to them. These kids were rough, tough nuts. You know, look at them. They're reading their top shelf magazines there. Look at them, and these were the main characters, and they all had different names. And I just took loads of pictures of them. Very, very good little series that I wrote many years ago for what it's worth. So, yeah, this is more the publicity thing for bikes. There we go. Look at that. There we are. Look. If only it would be in focus, it would make so much more difference. Hang on, let's try that again. It's not going to do it. Autofocus on the... I'm going to get rid of this webcam because it's rubbish. Need to get another one. It's just not going to do it, is it? It's just not going to play ball. Never mind. Not to worry. Let's go down to the nearest cafe and have a cup of tea, shall we? Just popped into Shoreham to do a bit of filming. And our new cameraman has been working wonders. And we're now in a little cafe called Toast. And we're going to have some... we're not having toast, are we?
No, actually, we're having soup.
Having some soup.
And milk.
Oh, and milk. Yeah, here we are. Jug loads. See that there? That's a camera. Yeah? We're training little Joseph up so that he can be our cameraman in about 15, 16 years' time. Well, he might, 10 years' time, you'd be able to hold a camera, wouldn't you? Then, when we go out and do stuff, little Joseph will be able to film it all.
AKA Jobs.
Yeah, we'll call him Jobs. Joseph, Vobes. So there we are, the lovely Julia there, and the even lovelier Joseph. That was when we were out filming with our GoPro 8 video, which went up yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. What day is it today? It's Monday today, isn't it? Or is it today's video? I can't, I'm getting confused. I think it's today's video, isn't it? Yes. It's just that you see, I'm always one step ahead of you guys, because I've got tomorrow's video and that's been in front of my face today. But yes, that was when we went to film the lovely St Mary's de Hora, which I think is of the harbour in Shoreham. We went into a nice little cup of tea place called a cafe and called Toast. I think I did say it there. I did say it, didn't I? I've said all that, haven't I? Said all that. And we had a cup of tea. And, of course, we're training him up. He's going to be the ace cameraman. It's going to be fantastic. Ace cameraman would be good. So that's nice. Mark Johnny McLeod says, I thoroughly approve of their reading material. Oh, yes, the Beano and the Dandy. Absolutely. Good stuff that was. Dave Ford, good old Biffo the Bear. Dark Money says, that was like the Golden Shot then. The Golden Shot. Yeah, do you remember the Golden Shot? Was that Bernie the Bolt? I remember Bernie the Bolt. Jeff Kellerson says, did Vobie make you give back the magic hat, TLJ? She has got it. The magic hat is here, waiting for her next appearance. So, have no fear about that. So is my washing up hat that the lovely Kevin Hall handed in. So fear not. Another quick picture for you. I can show you on this camera, look. Here's another couple of reprobates. There we are. Look at that. Who do you suppose that bloke there is? And that is actually my ex-wife, believe it or believe it not. I used to do an exhibition up in London. Not in London, at the NEC. Used to do an exhibition. I don't know if it's still going. It's a photography exhibition called Focus on Imaging, it was called. And I did it for about 10, 11 years, something like that. About February time. It was on for 4 days. And the lady who organised it wanted some characters, comedy characters, who would wander around the exhibition in all sorts of different costumes, and so that people who were picking up cameras to try and buy them had something to focus in on. The cliche thing was, of course, you'd have your page 3 models walking about going, oh, look at me, look at me. But we didn't want, she didn't want any of the lenses getting steamed up too much. And there were no chance of being steamed up when you clapped eyes on the Vobes. So there was 2 of us that would go around. On many occasions, there were different people I worked with over the years. And on the last time I did it, I asked Dawn if she would do it. And here's another couple of characters that we would do. These were the sort of the grandparents. Now, I am a grandfather and I don't look anything like it, but that was the last time I did it, actually. So yeah, look at that. That isn't Dawn's natural hair, by the way, and in fact, that's not my natural hair that's wisping out behind my ears. That is crepe hair. But you know, I still have that dressing gown, so nothing changes very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. Dean Cooper says he's turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger, so he will be back. Julia Hartley says, Jeff, I left it in Vobes' care till the big day, as I have kids, cats, kittens, that would destroy it. It's very true. And by the way, Jeff, she has got a rather impressive neon unicorn on her wall, which looks amazing. Mark Donny McLeod says, there, I see, I always knew Richard was an exhibitionist. You get a tenner a time at weddings in the chimney sweep. Only a tenner? Only a tenner? I want more than a tenner to dress up as a chimney sweep. This, I didn't know this was here, but here is a lovely picture. Very proud. Why isn't that working? Hang on a minute. Come back over here. No, stop it. That always happens. This is a picture of my lovely Georgie. You may recognise a lovely Georgie. That, I don't know how old she was there. Guesses on a postcard, please. She was, she still is, but she's not in the country anymore, the lovely George, which is a shame. But she was a beautiful daughter, a very beautiful daughter. I thought I'd just show you a couple of others. Another, oh, here we are. "1984, ladies and gentlemen. That ring a bell with you? I think George Orwell had something to do with 1984. Well, ladies and gentlemen, who's this smart smoothie sort of character? That, ladies and gentlemen, that is a very young Vobie one-eyed Kenobi. Had both eyes, had full head of hair, had a shirt and a tie. Look at that. Doesn't he look dapper? He looks the bees whatsits. Just going through the family photos here. Julia Hartley says she looks about 4 or 5 in there and she's still beautiful daughter. I know they grow up. The problem with children is they grow up and you really have to take advantage of them. I don't mean like that. You have to, every day is a joy because soon they grow up, they become like the rest of the humankind. Cynical, moaning, old. And when they're young, they are just a joy. And I love my children so very. I love them. Of course I love them. But there's that something about being a parent when they're, particularly when they're under 12. I think it's amazing. Mark Donny McLeod is saying, it's about the only other person who's typing out there tonight. He says, time is hard, governor. People are skint, except in Lymington, where they spend all their dosh and posh nosh on burial plots where they can put their limbs. Oh, sorry, their yachts. You look a bit like a young David Attenborough. Thank you very much. There we are, you see. Here is a picture of me now. You have to guess which one I am. This was from the same kids series. This was from that kids series I was telling you about, bikes, where they're all on their bike. When they're all on their bikes, Nigel and I, who played Snug and Cozy, these were the henchmen to, I forget the name of the hench guy, who you never really saw, and he was always got these plots to take over the world and do bad things. And these guys were his henchmen who carried out all the work, and they were called Fingers and Thumbs. Both, you know, Fums, F-U-M-B-S, Fums. Fingers, and I was Fingers, and Nigel was going to be Thumbs. All right, Fingers? Yeah, all right, Thumbs. And they would just fumble and bumble their way through. It's a great idea. Nobody ever wanted it, unfortunately. I pitched all these TV programmes and on. Oh, here's some nice pictures. Here's some nice pictures you may or may not be aware of. Let me just move that so I can get it into a better place. This was in the early days of computers, I thought there's got to be a children's television programme that kids would be interested about computers. And this was a story called System Error. A series called System Error. Would make books. I was going to turn these into books if I could get the book thing to work, but nobody wanted to buy my books and you can't make a living out of it. System Error was about a granddad who was looking after his grandson. Something had happened to the parents, you've got to find an excuse, haven't you? And he had this shed down at the bottom of the garden, which was his laboratory. And one day he'd created this creature. Recognise that story? Frankenstein? Frankenstein for the modern age, this was. Mary Shelley. And there was a system error. And what happened was you ended up with this robot character. And that's Stanley again. Look at Stanley. Brilliant bit of acting there from Stanley. And Stanley befriends the robot. And together Stanley has to keep telling the robot things so that he can put, a bit like, was it 5 Live Coming Alive or whatever it was? But I had this idea before that film came out. So they must have nicked it from me. Johnny Five? What was that film? Johnny Five. Input, must have input. It was the same idea, really. He needed to learn about things because he had just been created and this robot came to life. Of course, I was doing all the robotic movements because I can do all that kind of nonsense. And so you'd have this robot coming down the street. Bzz, 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 da, 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 da. All of that nonsense. Of course, I was writing these things with me in mind, of course. So that was it. We had, you may have seen my little, this was about Snod Hill. This was Wally and Geoffrey as young characters. That's Geoffrey. All right, Wally? Wally! What are you doing, Wally? Oh, you Wally! It's a bit like Snug and Cosy, really. Cosy! Cosy! What you doing, you simpering slam-slappered? Wally! Oh, Wally! This I also was a series called The Ghosts of Snod Hill, and originally I had him and Wally and Geoffrey. Can't find a picture of Wally, probably around somewhere. So many of them. Here we are, fingers and thumbs. Fingers and thumbs.
All right, Fingers. Yeah. Where do we want the ladder? I think it's against the wall. Oh, yeah, on the greenhouse.
That sort of thing. Ghosts of Snod Hill. They were ghosts in this old school, in the old outfits. And then, of course, came the one and only Argy and Bargy. And this was a series about a couple of genies who couldn't get out of the lamp. And they were always trying to get out of the lamp, but they would do whatever their master bid. And they were a bit camp, was Argy and Bargy. I was Argy, my mate was Bargy, and we were going to call the series A Bit of Argy Bargy. It was genius. I know, nobody wants to know about it. I liked it, A Bit of Argy Bargy. And then the master would come down, and you'd hear the master going, like mumbling. A bit like Trapdoor, really. They had a thing that would mumble like that. And then they would go up to the spout. They would go up to, because they were in a big teapot, a magic lamp type teapot. And they would go, oh, Argy, the master's calling, the master, quick. And they would leap up, put their hats on and run up to the spout and peer out the spout. And they would say, oh, master. They were a bit camp. Oh, master, your wish is our command. Nobody was interested. Nobody was interested in these ideas of the old Vobes, ladies and gentlemen. But I thought I'd show you some of the publicity shots that we got up to. Anne Osborne says, a trip down memory lane. Yes, it was. Jeff Kennison says, it's a shame you're not pitching that today. will be I could build you some wicked Jacob's ladders. Yes, that would be very nice. Ed Loud says I'll have to look out for that. Glenn Johnson says a certain Horsham school has socks like that. Ah, yes, maybe they were my old school socks. I lived in the town they filmed. Short Circuit, that was it. System Error, Short Circuit. What year did Short Circuit come out? Somebody tell me, because I'm sure I had that idea. Mine, System Error, Short Circuit, same principle, isn't it? So there we go. And he watched them film Johnny 5. Was it Johnny 5? Something like that. I finished the veggies. This is Ed Loud. Says, I finished the veggies. Most of them me and my mate picked out of his allotment and froze for future use. Very good idea, if you ask me. Andrew Norris says, you had so many wonderful ideas. Really great. What a shame no one showed much interest in them when you pitched them. I know. I did, as somebody says, any pictures of when you were in the bill? Yes, there's a picture of me, end of corridor behind... there's a picture of me, white shirt, at the end of corridor behind frosted glass. Yeah, that was me in the bill. No pictures, sorry to say. No pictures of that. What have we got here? Does anybody remember the Archers? Does anyone remember the Archers? I hosted a turning on of the lights, ladies and gentlemen, in Kingston. At I can't even remember the name of the blooming place. I hosted this thing, and there was a star from the Archers in it, and he played Nigel Pargeter. They bumped him off. They made him fall off the roof of his house when he was doing something to the lights, taking the lights down after Christmas, or the sign or something. But while he was on air as Nigel Pargeter, we did this thing, and here he is. That was him. He's the one on the right. I'm the one on the left without any glasses. This is before I lost my eye. And that was him from the Archers, Nigel Pargeter. And do you know, I've forgotten his real name. What's his real name? Somebody will tell me what his real name was. I can't remember now. Very nice bloke. There's another shot of him being interviewed by the the two-eyed Kenobi there. The two-eyed Kenobi. And here is me and my girlfriend at the time. This is me and my girlfriend, ladies and gentlemen, at the time. Yes, it's quite a silly picture. I used to do some very silly things. What was it? Graham Seed. That's it. Graham Seed. Of course it was. Lovely bloke. He was a really, really nice chap. And I don't know what he does now, Graham Seed. Bless him. But he was really nice. And I should have asked him for his autograph. But, you know, professional etiquette and all that. You can't go around that. But I said to him, I do listen to you on the Archers. I used to listen to the Archers. Then they bumped him off. The swines. It was terrible. Sorry about that. I just needed to have a glug. Graham Seed. Andrew Norris says he's still a fan of the Archers. I stopped listening to the Archers when they brought that awful storyline that affected, I can't even remember, Jenny, was it? Jenny? With the bloke who was manipulating her. It was just so awkward to listen to. I just thought, no, I want it to be about, you know, what seeds they're going to grow, and have they got something. Where's the scrumpy jack going on down in the shed, in the cider shed, you know? And I think he's died as well. His granddad died, and all of them. There's not very many of the original left. Ah, she's a nice dear. She is a nice dear. Thanks, Ed. Les Jarvis says Short Circuit 1986. Oh, it must have been after 1986 then. Oh, that's interesting. It must have been in my mind because I don't remember that connection, but it's interesting now. It would have been a very English. It would have been a very English type of program. Kevin Hall says I've arrived, folks. Oh, well done, Kevin. Well done, Kevin. Very nice to see you. Victoria. You and Kevin have arrived together. I'm sorry, I didn't realise. I would have called you out. Ladies and gentlemen, the late arrivals here, Kevin Hall and Victoria Allen. Please be seated. Do you remember going to parties when they used to do that? You used to come in, you had to hand the card over, and some guy in a dinner jacket would announce you. Do you remember ever doing that? Never did that. Never. None of the parties I ever went to with that. You see them in the films, wouldn't you? Lord and Lady so-and-so, Mr. and Mrs. Hogsnort, Barry and Benny Binkersnick. Did you ever watch Barry and Benny Binkersnick? Great series. Great. Barry. Now, have I got a picture of Barry and Berry and their Binkersnick? I don't think I have, actually. I don't think I have. Here's another character at that exhibition I was telling you about. Might be interested. That's me, Farmer Piles. Farmer Piles. If you put Farmer Piles into YouTube, I do believe there are 5 episodes of Farmer Piles that will come up. Piles, Piles. If you put Vobes as well, Farmer Piles and Vobes, guaranteed to come up. Farmer Piles. Hello there, I'm Farmer Piles, I am. He was another character of mine that came up with there. And, he couldn't sit down, you know. It's terrible. And then my peg. It's my peg, you see. I got this peg. It's a lovely old peg, it is. And he's been mucking out the cowshed for me. It saves me doing it, because he's very reliable. That was Farmer Piles. Very nice old duffer he was, Farmer Piles. There's another picture of Farmer Piles in case you're interested. And that was Dawn, who looks very different there. Very different, as you can see, from that picture that we had before. That's it. See, going down the trip. I thought you just might be interested. I'm not going to do this again. Don't worry. Get the old photographs out. Things I used to do. You may not realise it though, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how many of you have actually been to prison. And when I say, being inside prison, I have been in prison. They very kindly let me take a picture give me the picture they took. There we are. That's me in prison. It's a shame. And here, of course, is a more serious picture of me in prison with Nigel. And these were publicity photos that we did for. We used to work the entertainment circuit round at dinners. Lord and Lady Snort What. At the Park Lane hotels, corporate events and that sort of thing. And we would go round the tables as comedy characters, and one of the comedy characters would be escaped convicts. And we would go round the tables sneaking up on people, pretending to take stuff out of their handbags or pinch bread rolls from their table. It was very puerile entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. But amazingly, they paid us. They paid us so well back in those days. Till, of course, they shoved me inside. Poor old me. They shoved me inside, they did. That's what they did. Just looking to see if there's anything interesting in amongst all this. So here's a typical day with the Vobes. Out there juggling. Bit of fun, isn't it? None of these have got dates on them. None of them say when they actually took place. Oh yeah, did a thing with the National Lottery. Some lovely young blonde person there who had no interest in the Vobes. And I hosted a lottery show. I forgot about this. There we are, look at that. See if you can see that. The Lotto. And it was a game show thing. Lotto. That's me hosting it. Don't believe me? Here's a close-up. It's just not going to get in focus, is it? They were the days. Forgot I had those. The lotto game. I think it was probably at the launch of the thing, and they were running these things in big towns. It wasn't on telly or anything like that. They were running these things big towns to get people interested in the... I'd done loads of rubbish, really. Farmer Piles, did he have the old chalfonts? He should have done. Nigel Sadler, could we use the washing up brush Kevin gave him? Why, is it something got washing up? Glenn Johnson says, what is Nigel up to? They're all talking to me, they're not interested in my old... Jeff Kennison says he's a foot doctor. Shoved... Oh, what Nigel's doing? Yeah, Nigel now is he's a foot doctor, sadly. Here he is. If you need a foot doctor, this is the bloke to talk to. That's Nigel the foot doctor. Bless him. Victoria Allen says, what about your fire eating? Done the fire eating at the beginning of the show. Photos, never have photos on, says Linda Kane. Photos, never have photos on. Don't know what you mean, never have photos on. Do you remember watching Jacques Tati? Jacques Tati did a good film called Playtime. And there's a film where Jacques Tati turns up at somebody's house. You see it all from outside through great big plate glass windows. And you can see the husband and wife where Jacques Tati has come and stayed for an evening meal. And they're getting a bit... It's a non-verbal film. So it's all visual. And they get a bit bored with him. And they go into another room. And you can see them in the other room sort of going, oh, we can't get rid of him. We can't get... What are we going to do? We can't get shot of him. And Jacques Tati is sitting there as Monsieur Hulot. And he won't go home. So they decide, oh, I know what we'll do. And the husband gets out the projector, the old projector, and some rolls of film. And they start showing the rolls of film. And they start showing the family stuff. And, of course, Jacques Tati soon gets his hat and puts his coat on, and he's off. So, yeah, I know what you mean, photos. Many talents. Dates, says Linda Kane. I'm not quite sure what dates are. Andrew Norris says, probably means dates, photos. Oh, never have dates on them. Oh, I see, never have the dates on the photos. Yes, no, it's a shame, isn't it? You remember in the old days when you used to get slides? You remember the old slides? They used to put the date on the slide. Now you've got to do it by hand. Well, of course, who takes photos anyway these days? They're digital pictures, aren't they? Images. Nobody takes photos anymore. They're images, aren't they? And the images have got all the more information than you ever wanted to know, really, on it. Ed Loud said, would be good to see Nigel on here again. You both work so well. He was in the Smugglers of the Romney Marsh special that I discovered you from. Do you know, I haven't... I think a year has gone by since Nigel and I got together. I must contact him and see what he's up to. I know he was setting up... He expanded his business and it got very busy for him. Jacques Tati, comic genius, before others like Sellers. Yes, absolutely. Jacques Tati was brilliant. Victoria Allen. I've got a book on Jacques Tati, but unfortunately it's in the other room. Vicky Allen says they used to have dates on photos when you had them developed. Yes, I mean, it's like if you stumble across some very, very old ones, you know, from the 1950s, they used to do it, didn't they? They used to do it. I don't want to bore you with too many of these pictures. I just see if there's... Here's me lounging about, just for a bit of a laugh. There's me lounging about on my stilts. Lounging about. That's again at Brentwood. I think that was Brentwood. I just thought I'd show. I thought you might be interested. Obviously, I've probably bored you senseless. I can't even... The thing is, I can't remember half of these pictures. You know, you get to a certain point in life, don't you? You think, I've done so many things. I've got my wedding pictures here, but I'm not going to get them out. They're boring. Oh my God. Forgot about that. This is a lovely picture. I've shown a lot of pictures of my daughter, Georgie, but Georgie was very photogenic as a child. Here we go. Look, this is Georgie. Isn't that lovely? That's Georgie I think she's about 18. That was on her 18th birthday. She just had a shave, and no, she looked lovely. She was only a few months old, probably similar age to Joseph that we saw earlier. And you wonder what I was like when I was a kid. Here's a picture of my mum and me. Me and my mum. Now that's in Petworth. That little funny bloke there, that's my mother on the right of the screen. And the one in the pink jacket and the ridiculous trousers, I'm ashamed to say, was me. Balancing on balls. You're not really interested. I know you're not really interested. Here's an interesting one. You see, I can't quite work that out. That's it. That, if it only would why won't you focus, you stupid thing? That is a photograph of me with a helmet on and a boiler suit with an industrial floor cleaner. But actually, it looks like I'm running behind the floor cleaner. It was for an industrial magazine. And they employed me because they wanted me to be perfectly still in the pose of running. And the wire was wired to look like it was whippy. And so actually that's not a running shot. That is actually a shot where I'm having to hold it. This is a Polaroid test they did. I wish this would just focus. Focus, you stupid thing. Anyway, you get the picture. You get the picture. 40 people are. 40 people. I really enjoyed your photo show, says Mandy. What's the time? Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Thank God for that. Lucking Brothers of Petworth. Are they still going? Day 4. Well done, are they? That's amazing. That was a long, long time ago. Just seeing if there's one last picture to end the show on. One last picture where I'm doing something a bit different. I've got to tidy all this lot up in a minute. Hang on, there's got to be one. There's so many pictures here. Just one last picture, give it to me. Delicious ice cream from Belgium. This is another. This will just have to be the last one. This is another exhibition. Used to do loads of exhibitions on stilts, ladies and gentlemen, with the big hands. At some exhibitions, some at some time. Ridiculous. Anyway, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I was running out of content for tonight's show, and I thought I'd just dig out the old photos, and I hope you enjoyed some of it, just to show you what I used to do in the past. Some old television, lots of ideas for TV programs that never happened. But I'm now doing the Bald Explorer and the Vobes show, so everything's all right. Kevin All has turned into Daniel. Thank you very much. Andy Dalgleish says, Mr. Vobes, you are an entertaining genius. Hope Georgie is having a great time in New Zealand. I know. I wish she was back in the UK. She's so lovely. Dave Ford says, Kevin, I believe so. She is actually. It's 2059. Blimey. Ed Loud says, is that a bottle of Spitfire? I can tell for sure at this resolution I am watching. Yes, it is. It's a very nice bottle of Spitfire. It has not yet been opened because I drink so rarely. Well done, Richard. I believe the 15-minute show. Yes, it's a 15-minute show. I think it's worth doing some more picture shows, says Mickey Bates. Oh, you don't want to see the rubbish that I get up to. It's just trying to fill 60 minutes because I had a computer problem today, ladies and gentlemen. I had a bad computer problem and spent quite a bit of time trying to fix that, so I couldn't do very much. Kevin All says, well done. Tim Williams says, great photos. Appreciate. I need directions out of memory lane. Yes, the main road, if you can help. Yeah, it's left at the lights, over the swing bridge. Keep going till you come to the roundabout. Take the small trapdoor. It's a subterranean passage for about 300 metres. And when you get to the dragon's lair, just go woof. You should be all right. Mark Donny McLeod says, whoa, I believe all went dark. The lights flashed. Big storm. Yes, time to get under the table or in your Morrison shelter. I might just shelter in Morrison's. They've got all the food and drink that I need. Brilliant show tonight. Thank you very much, Andy. It's very kind. Nice look at the pictures. Love the beer. Nighty-night. Thank you for sharing your photos and memories, Richard. Great show, says the lovely Julia. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with a song. No, I'm not. And the only song I've got to leave you with is the following. So until then, see you on Wednesday, hopefully. Take care. Good night. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye. And cue the music.